Alright, yes, welcome to another review. Here we have the FreeFall House pad, which is the collaboration between FreeFall and the reviewer House Gaming. I have personally been waiting for this pad to get to the UK for such a long time now. Ever since they teased this pad, I knew I wanted to try it out. And I'm happy to say it did actually live up to my expectations. It's a really solid pad. So for the specs of this pad, you're going to get the usual flat packaging from FreeFall. There was no damage done to my pad at all through shipping to the UK, it was completely fine in the flat packaging. The pad itself is 450 by 450 and is 3 thick. However, I found this size to be one of the biggest issues of this mouse pad. The space going horizontally is just not enough in my opinion. For tracking scenarios especially, I felt like I constantly had to reset, like stuff like PGTI. I was constantly having to reset myself just because there was not enough space horizontally to keep going. I have heard that there may be a 500 by 500 version coming soon in the future. This size will work so much better in my opinion. I do also wish the pad was a little thicker. With the freefall base that's like really hard, this pad just feels like it's really thin even though it is 3. I just wish it was slightly thicker. I think it would be a bit more comfortable and have more of a enjoyable experience overall. So I want to talk about one of the most interesting points of this mouse pad, which is the base. The silicone base that FreeFall use is really hard, and it also creates a lot of static electricity. Now you can see here the mouse pad is not moving at all from me pushing it around, but over time it does actually move. Like, it doesn't move when I'm aiming or like playing games, it doesn't move at all, but over time the pad just gradually does move. And it was more moving upwards in my opinion. I had to just pull it back down. But you can see here just the pad itself, when you take it off, creates that static electricity. So the house pad is advertised as a smooth balance pad. However, due to the smooth surface, paired with the really hard silicone base, it creates a really fast surface, which is more on the speed pad side. I really enjoyed this a lot. The glide almost feels effortless on this surface, and this means both flicking and tracking feel like top quality. Due to its speed and smoothness, I can flick without feeling any sort of dragging that's holding me back, and it really shows off flick speed. In static scenarios, I'll show up some of my runs. You can really see how I can flick fast here and micro with ease. The same goes for tracking and reactive movements. There's still some static friction there and dynamic friction, but it's not something that's stopping me from moving my mouse at all. There's no dragging feeling, there's no tugging. I don't feel like that's impacting me at all in this pad. So due to FreeFall's hard base, you cannot dig into this pad at all like you could with some softer pads. This means that smaller micro adjustments will take a lot more mouse control, as some people like to really press into their pad when they're playing games to micro adjust and do smaller movements. But if you have good static and micro skills already, this won't be an issue to you because you won't be doing that anyway. This is only for some people who don't have that skill yet and they really press into their pad to micro. You can't do that on this pad. Now the surface did change after a break-in period. It felt much faster to me on the first day compared to now. After 1-2 days, it did get slower, but the surface felt slightly smoother after the skates were on it for that time. I wouldn't say this a big issue, this happens with a lot of pads. It's not that drastic of a change either, it just felt slightly slower. So who really is this pad for? I would say it's for anyone really. TAC FPS players will really enjoy this pad in my opinion. It really has the qualities to be a good pad for static and dynamic and TAC FPS in general, due to you can flick fast and still micro on this pad, and the hard base, it just feels really nice. FreeFall do have their first pad, which is more catered to TAC FPS, it's a lot slower, but I think this one is still a really good option. And tracking players and aimers will also enjoy the surface. It's not the fastest one you could get for a mouse pad, but it's still really nice for tracking in my opinion. So if I was to compare it to some other pads that it feels like, obviously I love speed pads, so something like the Infinity Mesh Ruin in Speed V2 is going to be faster than this mouse pad. They're marketed as speed pads, that's what they do. It's just because of the smooth surface and the hard base that this feels like a speed pad. And something like the Lamzo Energon is also faster than this mouse pad as well. But overall, the house pad is actually a really solid option on the market. The FreeFall pads are not overpriced at all. I actually think they're really reasonable. Usually like £35 to £40. I think that's like a really like good price for a mouse pad. But considering the quality as well, you're getting like a really top quality mouse pad here, with the stitching being low profile, the base being very effective and not moving from my desk. So I do hope you enjoyed this review. I tried to keep it nice and short this time for the normal person. But this pad is very consistent and comfortable feeling. The glide is really nice and it is a really top option in my opinion.